It's well known that toddlers have a hard time listening, whether it be in the grocery store when they keep reaching for things when you've asked them to keep their hands to themselves, if you're at the playground and you're asking them to come to you because it's time to go home, you've got to get to the car. Maybe just at home, you've asked them to clean up their toys or to come help you set the table. Whatever it is, toddlers have a hard time listening. Hey, I'm Tanya, your resident behavior analyst, and welcome to my channel. I wanted to talk to you about things that may be contributing to your child not listening. So, this is something that parents complain about a lot, especially with toddlers, and we know that it's common and we know that it's just a toddler thing. But there are things that you can do to help with that so that your job as a parent isn't so dang difficult. So, that's what I'm here to talk about today. Research shows that there can be any number of things in the environment that are actually keeping your child from listening. So the next time your toddler's having difficulty listening to you, just take a moment to pause and take in what's happening in the moment. So what's going on in the environment? Are there loud sounds going on? Maybe a sibling is playing a video game nearby loudly. Maybe there are musical toys going off. Maybe he's on an iPad or watching the TV. Or maybe you've got music on in the background. Toddlers are very easily distracted. You probably don't need me to tell you that, but sometimes it can be difficult in the moment to remember, oh yeah, there's all these things going on. I should probably remove them and actually get his attention before asking him to do something. And maybe you even have to leave it off or keep it away until they're done completing what you've asked them to do, because you know that once they start the task that you've asked them to do, they're still going to be easily distracted. So whatever you can do to remove distractions in the environment is going to help you. I think the hard part is just remembering to do it every time. But I would say that if you become more aware of it and practice it, it's going to become part of like your habit, basically. It's going to become part of your routine. So you'll be more likely to do it moving forward, which is really going to help your toddler listen. Have your toddler's basic needs been met? I'm talking about nap time. If you know your kid needs a nap, make it happen. I'm talking about hunger, thirst. Do they need their pull-up change if they're not potty trained yet? Diaper change, whatever it is. Are they sick? Because if they're sick, they're gonna be less likely to listen just because they're not feeling well. So the best thing to do is, if you have something important that you need them to do and you notice that they're just not listening, take a minute to just assess the situation. Have all of his basic needs been met? It's gonna help him or her listen better if you've made sure that you've taken care of their sleepiness, their hunger, their thirst, bathroom issues, and then of course if they are ill, have you given them their medicine? Are they due for the next round? Whatever it is. These things need to be met before your toddler can attend to you and do what you've asked. Those are basic needs and they have to have them first. And is your request reasonable? Take a minute before you give your request and think about whether you really need them to do this, and if it's worth fighting over when they say no, if they say no, or if it's worth the hassle of trying to get them to do it and following through if they have difficulty listening. Sometimes we ask them to do things and then decide halfway, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna let it go. It's not worth the trouble. But the problem with that is, if you've already asked your toddler to do something and now you haven't followed through on it, you're creating an environment in which your toddler learns that they don't have to listen to you all the time because you don't follow through. So one thing I really encourage parents to do is just take a minute and think about it before you ask them to do it. If it's not important to you, if it's not a big deal, if it can be done later, or if you want to wait until later when you can actually follow through with it, because maybe right now you're in the middle of laundry or cooking dinner and you don't have time for it. Those are not the times to set expectations or requirements. Just wait till later. Another time when this can come into play is if you're asking them to do something that they haven't done on their own. If this is a fairly new skill that you've asked them to do, but they're just starting to learn how to do it, or maybe they just never listen all the way through, then Again, think about it before you put it in place and ask them to do it, because you know you're going to need to follow through. So go ahead and be ready for it. Don't expect them to do something all the way through by themselves if they've never done it before, or if it's brand new to them. So let's say that you decide it is necessary, you've got time to follow through, it's appropriate, so you ask your toddler to do it. It's best to ask them in like one-step directions. Just give one step at a time. Use simple words that they can understand. Again, make sure that they're looking at you. Maybe you can point to what it is that they need to do. Whatever you can do to make it more likely to have them listen. If you give multiple steps, they're much less likely to follow through. I understand it can be more of a pain to you to have to do that, but it's best to just have them do it one step at a time and walk them through it. As they get older, you're not going to need to do that. But as toddlers, they just need it because they get distracted so easily. It's best to meet your toddler where they are so that you can help them succeed and help increase their compliance over time, which is going to make it so much easier when they're older. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for next week when I put a video up on 4 simple steps to actually implement when you're giving directions to help increase their compliance. So this is kind of to prep them for it, but then when actually given directions, there are more things you can do than just to break it down into one simple step. Please subscribe if you haven't already so that you don't miss it, and I'll see you then. Bye.